Welcome back to This Day in Scottish History. I'm your host, Colin MacDonald. Today, we turn our focus to one of the darkest moments in Scotland's industrial past, the Blantyre mining disaster of October 22, 1877. This tragic event marked Scotland's worst ever mining disaster, claiming the lives of 207 miners and leaving an indelible scar on the community of Blantyre. The disaster took place in the small coal mining town of Blantyre, located in South Lanarkshire. At the heart of the tragedy were the number 2 and number 3 pits of William Dixon's Blantyre Colliery, a significant hub in the region's booming coal industry. On that fateful morning, over 200 miners descended into the depths of the mine, unaware of the catastrophe awaiting them. At around 9 o'clock AM, a massive explosion ripped through the mine. Flames shot up the mine shafts, followed by a thick, choking cloud of smoke and gas. The force of the explosion was so powerful that it blocked escape routes and destroyed the mine's infrastructure, leaving those trapped underground with little hope. The youngest victim was a boy of just 11 years old, a heartbreaking reminder of how even children were not spared from the harsh realities of coal mining. The cause of the explosion was later identified as an ignition of firedamp, a dangerous mixture of gases, primarily methane, that often accumulated in coal mines. Despite the known presence of firedamp in the mine, safety protocols were either inadequate or not enforced. It is believed that a naked flame may have ignited the gas, triggering the blast. Safety lamps, which were supposed to be used to prevent such accidents, were not consistently employed, and naked flames were common, a grim reminder of the disregard for miners' safety at the time. The aftermath of the disaster was devastating for the community. The explosion left 92 widows and 250 children fatherless, plunging many families into poverty and grief. In an especially cruel twist, many of the miners and their families lived in tied cottages owned by the mining company. Just months after the accident, 34 widows were evicted from their homes as the company raised legal summonses against them, adding insult to the already overwhelming tragedy. Rescue operations were difficult and dangerous. The presence of afterdamp, a lethal mixture of gases left behind after a mine explosion, slowed efforts to reach survivors. Initially, 4 miners were found alive, but tragically, they succumbed to their injuries, highlighting the overwhelming dangers facing those who dared to rescue their fellow workers. The disaster attracted nationwide attention, prompting an inquiry into mine safety. The investigation found that the mine's ventilation system was inadequate and there were severe lapses in safety protocols. Critically, fire-damp-laden air from one pit was used to ventilate another, a practice condemned as highly dangerous. Despite these findings, the disaster did little to bring immediate improvements in mine safety, as further tragedies would strike the Blantyre Colliery in the following years. In 1878 and 1879, 2 additional accidents claimed more lives, showing the slow progress toward meaningful safety reforms in the mining industry. The Blantyre disaster not only exposed the hazardous conditions miners faced, but also shone a light on the wider social issues of the time. The callous treatment of widows, the use of child labour, and the lack of basic safety measures in the mines were all stark reminders of the cost of industrial progress. The miners had, in fact, gone on strike the previous year, seeking a wage increase to reflect the dangers of their work. They were not only refused but also evicted from their homes as the company brought in replacement workers, many of them Irish immigrants, further deepening tensions within the community. The legacy of the Blantyre disaster has not been forgotten. A granite memorial was erected by the mining company in remembrance of the 240 men and boys who lost their lives in the two major explosions of 1877 and 1879. The monument stands as a sombre reminder of the lives lost in the pursuit of coal, the fuel that powered Scotland's industrial revolution. A memorial window was also installed at St Joseph's Catholic Church in Blantyre to honour the memory of the Catholic miners who perished in the disaster. The disaster has also been immortalised in folk music. Irish folk singer Christy Moore recorded a song titled Blantyre Explosion, which speaks to the tragedy and the loss felt by the mining community. The song, which appears on his album Ordinary Man, echoes the grief and anger that followed the disaster, capturing the spirit of a community forever changed by the events of that day. As we reflect on the Blantyre mining disaster of October 22, 1877, we remember not just the miners who perished, but also the countless families left behind to pick up the pieces. It is a story of loss, of struggle, and of the high human cost of industrial progress. Scotland's mining history is rich with tales of courage and tragedy, and the Blantyre disaster stands as a pivotal moment in that history, a stark reminder of the need for safety and humanity in the workplace. Thank you for joining us on this day in Scottish history. We'll be back tomorrow with another story from Scotland's past. Until then, I'm Colin MacDonald. Haste ye back.